Thomas, the tender engine. Thomas the tank engine is proud of his branch line, but sometimes he has to take trains along the main line when the other engines are busy. Thomas doesn't like this very much. I am an icon of my branch line, he grumbled to the other engines. What good is it for me to run the line if I'm never on it anymore? The fat controller puts us where we are needed, said Henry. Besides, I hear Daisy is enjoying the company of the passengers. Thomas fumed away without a word. Market day was approaching, and goods trains were frequently going back and forth down the line. Any engine that could pull was working. One day, Thomas was coming down the line with a goods train. James chuckled. Look at little Thomas out on the main line doing tender engine work, he teased. Thomas was having none of it. At least I can do my work without a clumsy tumor on my back. He continued along. Thomas arrived at Edward's station. He was exhausted, so he stopped at the water tower for a drink. Boko came down from Gordon's Hill. He was pulling a goods train too. Thomas noticed Boko was pulling a strange wagon. It was long on 2 trucks and shaped almost like a soap bar. What's that? Thomas asked. It's called a brake tender, Boko explained. It acts as an anchor to help me brake down the hill easier and keeps the trucks in order. I won't be using it for my next train, so you're welcome to take it if you like. Thomas was abashed. Me? Using a tender? What would the other engines think? Boko rolled his eyes, but shrugged it off. Suit yourself. Good luck. Thomas did need luck. The trucks didn't cooperate at all. He made a horrible noise going up Gordon's Hill. Going downhill was no better. Thomas had to work very hard to keep the trucks from pushing him downward. Thomas was worn out by the time his day was over, and the next day, Thomas had to take slow goods down the branch line. Station by station, his train grew longer and longer. He reached the junction hoping another engine would be ready to take charge of his train, but there was no other engine to be seen. Sorry, Thomas. Looks like we're taking a trip down the main line again, his driver told him. Thomas gulped. Thomas had to pass through Edward's station again. He saw the brake tender in a siding. Thomas sniffed indignantly. But Thomas had also remembered how difficult yesterday's journey was. He didn't want to do that twice. Swallowing his pride, but also making sure no other engines were in the yard, Thomas backed up to the tender. I'm sure Boko won't mind if I take it. I'll quickly bring it back before anyone can know. Boko told Thomas that the brake tender was meant to be used as an anchor, but Thomas didn't know it also added weight to his train. With a longer train than yesterday, Thomas was heading for trouble. Thomas took off for Gordon's Hill when he realised something was wrong. The train was getting heavier. Thomas's wheels were moving forward, but the weight of the train dragged him backwards. Thomas applied the brakes on the tender too quickly and too hard. The coupling behind the tender broke. The train launched free like a bullet, running away down the line. Rounding a curve, the trucks began coming off the train. With the crunching sound of wood splintering, the train crashed into a pile of rubble, spreading across the line. Thomas, meanwhile, was still sliding along the line with the tender's brakes on. He couldn't stop in time. Thomas and the tender slammed right into the pile of debris. They were stuck. James came in with the breakdown train. On board was the fat controller. Trying to be a tender engine, Thomas, he boomed. Tenders don't suit tank engines. Perhaps you will think next time before parading off with things that aren't yours. Thomas had to stay while a line was cleared for engines to pass. Everyone saw Thomas's predicament and laughed. Who's this new tender engine, they would tease. Don't mind him, whistled James to the others. It's only Thomas the tender engine, he teased. Thomas said nothing as he hid in a cloud of steam.